I'm happy to do it because I wish I'd known this earlier in my life. I mean, there are those times when you're the mother of many and so on, and so
Yeah.
sleep isn't a thing you can particularly do.
No.
Although my kids knew that at 8 o'clock at night, there was no negotiating with her. We're done. And I would say to them, I don't care if you stay up all night. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I have to work. I have to get
Mm.
up in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm going to bed. So
Yeah.
night night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And parents today would be terribly shocked by that because parents are so much more on it, as a
Helicopter. Yeah.
helicoptering, they're crazy. But on it, and my kids still tease me about it. It's like, we don't call her after 7 o'clock at night. Forget about it.
Yeah.
She didn't want to talk to us. She's done. That's right. My sleep is sacrosanct to me. And the hours before sleep are sacrosanct. I like quiet and peace. I don't watch bloody, stupid, horror, terrible stuff on TV.
No.
If I watch something on TV, it's going to be something like, here's one for you, everybody. Netflix Dance Life. Fabulous.
Hi, my name is Luella Jonk. I'm a psychotherapist and coach. And if you're interested in how your lifestyle is affecting your mental health, then you're at the right place. On this show, I interview various guests from across the miles and share how their lifestyle choices affects their sense of self, their wealth, and most importantly, their health. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to I Think I Can podcast. And, sometimes I search, like I seek out specific guests, obviously, right? Sometimes there's a certain type of lifestyle factors that I feel like I need extra expertise on sleep, nutrition, parenting, relationships, what have it. But I came across my guest's profile, and I loved her story. And doesn't everyone love a story? So I'm going to let Lynne Bowman introduce herself so that we can get on with this fantastic show. Lynn?
First of all, I so love being with you, as I've already told you. This is great. I love doing this. And when it comes to stories, I'm old, which I say, with some pride. I mean,
Oh,
yeah, I made it. I'm still alive, right?
how old are you, Lynn?
I'll be 78 in a couple of weeks.
Wow, do you look Everybody watch the YouTube episode because like, oh my God. And
Well,
and secondly, she has a gorgeous husky who's 15 and is in the background here. So you got to take a look at her dog too.
so yeah, there's something to be said for being elderly, as my dog is demonstrating. He's still very handsome. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but talking about age, I think is something we don't do enough of, and I love talking about it because, yeah, like everybody else, I wake up in the morning and go, who am I today? Right? Who am I
Mm-hmm.
going to be next week or 20 years from now? And I just suddenly had the flash. I'm expecting another grandchild in early June, and which I find thrilling, by the way. But
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden I thought, okay, when she's 20, I'm going to be what? Wait, so I'm here for the long game, and I want to be here for her, with her, to whatever extent I can.
Mm.
But stories, which ones do you want? Um,
Well, you know,
start.
okay, so I have a lot of questions, but let's start with the book
Okay.
you wrote called Brownies for Breakfast. Tell
Yeah.
us what inspired you to write this book.
My kids made me do it. As with so many things, they just kept saying, "Yeah, you got to do this, Ma. You got to do this." And so I started doing it and found it big fun to do because, again, Grandma, we speak in recipes. we in most conversations, you wind up saying, yeah, and then do you put the peas in on top? And no, no, I never use the peas.
Mhm.
That's our language,
Mhm.
many of us. And I've always been interested in food, loved eating food, loved sharing food with people, and then found out rather early in my life that I was diabetic.
Oh.
Uh, so I found out, as many women do, with my pregnancies. I,
Hmm.
I had gestational diabetes. My first little guy was 10 pounds and 6 weeks overdue. And for any of you who have carried children, you're grabbing yourselves right now. You're going, oh my,
Did you say 6 weeks?
yes, ma'am. Yeah, I did.
Oh my God.
I also will say, and this is sexist, but sorry, all of the docs were men. We did not have females attending us at that time. This was 1975 when I had my first baby. And that's a whole other show, right? That's a
Mm.
whole other thing about how we were treated, what we were told, what it was like. But the good news was my son lived and so did I, in spite of all the worst efforts of the medical community at the time.
Mm.
But I found out that I would probably be diabetic as time went on. They said, when you're in your 40s, you'll probably get type 2 diabetes. So when I hit my 40s, I started asking people to test me, and they were, well, you're not overweight, and you're fine, you're okay. And I finally got someone to test me, and sure enough, my numbers didn't look good.
Wow.
So,
So are you telling me it was skinny fat? Like,
well,
was there fat around your organs? Do you know if there was like visceral fat around your
no,
organs?
no,
No,
it was
no.
the 70s. Nobody was talking about this.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a thing. The thing was, were you thin enough to look good? Beyond that, it didn't matter, right? It wasn't a thing we were interested in or talking about,
Yeah.
as were many of the medical things that we've now come to
Mm.
understand, or at least understand that we need to know more about. I'm so thrilled that 60% of the people coming out of medical school now are females.
Yeah.
And when I'm happy to say I am a veteran of the sexual revolution, the 60s. I was there,
Mm.
and and seeing the progress that we've made. Let's not talk about the things that have happened recently, which may take us back, but the progress, having women in positions of professional power, changes things dramatically in the medical community, changes things so dramatically. Not enough change yet, but we're getting there. People like you. My daughter is a nurse practitioner, and
Mm.
so we have conversations daily about all of it. And
I'm sure. I'm sure.
women practice medicine differently than men do.
Yeah.
Um, it's not a
Yeah.
hard line, but in general, these are two different things. Whole other
Mm.
subject. Stories. So I'm going to go back now to when I learned I was a diabetic. I realized that because my mother had died young, I was 18, she was in her 40s, she had died of a chronic disease. And like, and we, in those days, we didn't talk about it. I didn't get therapy. There was, nobody,
No, no.
you move on. You
Yeah.
just put and go on.
Yeah.
But I realized that I needed to stay alive. I was going to stay alive for my children in my unsophisticated way. I just went, no, you're not going to beat me. And so I learned everything I could learn, which was not a tremendous amount at that time, about diabetes, how to treat it, how not to treat it. And then just in the course of going through my own medical stuff, I'd ask a lot of questions and get a lot of, well, we don't know, just lose weight,
Yeah.
just keep losing weight. And no one ever said, gee, when you have a metabolic disturbance, that can be very difficult.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The root cause, right? Like there's, yeah.
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 So going back to why did I write the book? I wrote the book to tell people everything I know after having lived this life about how to really take care of yourself and fix yourself and reverse, either prevent this chronic disease
Mm-hmm.
or reverse this chronic disease, which you can do, which
Yes.
no one ever said to me. What they said was, it's a progressive disease, it just gets worse.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
well,
Were
I
you
got this
taking
for you.
insulin then?
No,
Oh, you weren't. Okay, so you didn't go
I
down
was
that.
not.
No,
No,
no.
because, well, the difference was I found out before I was that far along the path.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it's
So
pre-diabetes.
many
Okay.
people don't, because there aren't symptoms there that are obvious.
No.
There's no way. It's kind of like fatty liver disease.
Yeah.
Unless you get in there for some other reason and look at
Mm-hmm.
that liver, you don't
Mm-hmm.
know. There's no
No.
symptom.
No, no. And it's just like stress. Until you remove the stress, you don't really even know that you're stressed because you've adapted to it. And then, like in your case, I would imagine the blood was just thicker. And like you say, metabolically, I didn't know
I
any
didn't know.
difference. Yeah.
No, I was still functioning just fine.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of people would have looked at me and said, "How the hell did she do it?" I had three little kids. I had a pretty heavy duty career. At the age, well, my kids were 2, 3, and 4 when I had to run from a homicidal, literally ex. Um, I was living in North Carolina and realized my ex was a Marine who, like many vets, came
Mm-hmm.
out of Vietnam and changed his clothes on the plane and wanted desperately to be normal
Mm-hmm.
and leave it all behind, just as I'm saying I wanted to leave my illness behind. We didn't
Mm-hmm.
talk about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was so thrilled to be having these babies, and I was now a mom. I'd always wanted to be a mom. And my then husband was just disintegrating in front of my eyes. I mean, he was having episodes where he'd disappear.
Mm-hmm.
He was addicted. He was alcoholic. And I had no experience with those things.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know what I was looking at. I came from a family where nobody drank
Yeah.
and nobody talked about it. It wasn't an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And in the neighborhood in those days, in the 50s and early 60s, you didn't talk about any of those things. Those were the secrets of the social life
Yeah. Yeah.
that went.
Yeah.
But
We
here
keep
I
things
was.
private. Yeah. We keep things private.
Very,
Yeah.
so when my kids were 2, 3, and 4, I managed to tell my ex a story, packed them up, and we took what we could carry, each of us, and took the train from North Carolina to California, which was an interesting adventure. And you know what? The kids loved it. They were
Yeah.
fine sleeping on newspapers
Mm.
on the floor of the train. And it was a big adventure. And that was how I framed it. And
Oh my
here we
God. Were
go.
you
And
scared, Lynn?
scared of what? I mean, any more scared than I
Oh,
was of a guy 6 feet 1 tall who was trained in the lethal arts trying to kill me?
oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So you had the
let's
same
talk about scared. You know what? Yeah.
right, right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was determined that I was going to live and that my children were going to live.
Yeah.
And I pretty much knew that he would ultimately kill himself. I didn't want my children to be the ones to find him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry if that sounds crude in any
No.
way,
No. No.
but
Not at all.
when you're in, it's mama bear time. When you're in that situation, you are looking at what's in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
and you're dealing with what's here now, and
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to strategize about what could happen in the near future. That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And beyond that, the kids need to be fed and they've got to have diapers changed and so on.
So tell me what happens when the train rolls into California?
Well, I want to tell you about a moment that I'll never forget, which was
Okay.
when we get to the top. If you've ever experienced a cross country train, I know in Canada the trains
Y-
are amazing.
Yeah, they're amazing, but no, I can't say I have.
So in California, what happens is you come through Reno, Nevada, and then you go up the Sierra Nevadas, very sharp, high increase. And we got to the top of, and it's early morning, and we got to the top of the mountains. And I stepped out between the kids were sleeping, and I got to the doors between the cars, and I stepped out, which you can do, and stood between the cars. And there was a kid who had ridden his horse up beside the train and was riding along with us. And then there was this beautiful view down the spine of the Sierra Nevadas, and it was morning. And I just thought, dang it, I'm going to make it. I'm in California.
Yeah.
It's the most beautiful place.
Yeah.
I could feel my grandfather's spirit with me, who had been
Mm.
on the Southern Pacific for 50 years, running between Salt Lake and San Francisco on that same train line. And I just felt some magic with me. And so we got down to, I think it was Martinez, where I got off the train, place nobody's ever heard of if you haven't been on that train run. And my sister was there. And it was my sister who had said, I don't care, bring the kids out. We'll find a way, so on. And so my big sister, 4 years older than me. And so we camped in her driveway, in her little camper, little fold out camper. That was my new home with the kids. And because I was trying hard not to totally disrupt her life. And,
Yeah.
she and her husband had a new company they were trying to grow. And so we, day by day,
Yeah.
and then we invented a ruse, Luella. I think it was kind of my idea, where I looked up all the advertising agencies and picked out the ones that looked from the look of their stuff. I thought, these people are good. These people are good. And I went to each one of them pretending to look for an agency for my sister's company. Of course, not telling them this is my sister. I'm saying, okay, I'm here looking for representation for Gull Energy in a good ad agency. What have you got? So each of these appointments, and I had, my few things that I had brought that I could look sort of professional in. And I would talk up this company, and then eventually they'd say, well, what do you do? How did you get here? And I'd say, oh, I'm a writer, copywriter, and creative director. You are? Do you ever do freelance work? Yeah, I could consider that. Of course, inside I'm like, yes,
Yes,
yes, I
exactly.
got one.
Yeah.
So by the end of a few days of this, I had good work with good agencies. And it was 1980, Luella. So the Silicon Valley was just about to really explode.
Yeah.
There was all this new technology, but what they didn't have, and I didn't have the brains to have thought about this, what they didn't have was anybody who really understood advertising, marketing in a consumer kind of way, who wasn't afraid of technology. So I was kind of translating the technology to a new audience. For example, men who had never touched a keyboard. I mean, can you even imagine, right? This was a generation of people who had people typing for them. And the only people who typed were women. Men didn't touch keyboards.
No.
So it took somebody like me to figure out how to tell them it was sexy and wonderful for them and powerful for them to touch their own keyboard, right? So it was timing and luck, but I suddenly was able to make more money than, by far than I'd ever made in the East. And I had some support from my sister. So my ex followed me out. There were scenes, there was awful stuff for years. It went on, and he would evaporate, and then he'd come back, and then ultimately he did take his own life. And like many of those folks, I mean, you probably know the statistic, but there were more who took their own lives than lost their lives in battle from the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
So, yes, he did. And my kids recovered. It was not easy for them. But just recently, Luella, my youngest daughter said to me, Ma, it really impressed me that you cried when our dad died. You were sad. Of course I was. But it's so interesting to go through things like this with your children, and then they become adults, and then they have children, and then they look back on the experience, and you look back on the experience. And for anyone out there who's listening to this, who's been through it or going through it, one of the things I feel most grateful for was that I knew better than to ever disparage him in front of the children. I
Yeah.
knew that no matter what happened, I would say to them, he's not well. He
Yeah.
just can't help himself.
Yeah.
He's doing all he knows how to do. He loves you. He'll
Mm-hmm.
keep on loving you,
Mm-hmm.
so on and so forth. That can make, I think, all the difference. Uh,
Yeah. I
I
agree.
now know, I didn't know then, I now know how many, particularly women, are in this situation of being abused physically,
Mm-hmm.
mentally, all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Difference with me was that I had the ability to make money. I
Yeah.
had a career that
Mm-hmm.
was able to support the children and me, because we never had any sort of support from anyone but ourselves.
Right.
Um,
You were
so
gifted in that way, blessed in that way to have
yeah,
the intellect and the drive and the motivation and and you could like, yeah, you're a good salesperson. It sounds like too. You had talent. Yeah.
it was hustle,
Yeah. Hustle,
right?
grind,
When you
grind. Yeah.
need it badly enough,
Hmm.
um, sometimes you can just pull it out of your pocket, and again, Mama Bear,
Yeah.
when you've got little people who need to be fed and clothed and educated, you do whatever you need to do.
Yeah. So,
I I never waited tables happily, because I would have been really the worst. I'm not coordinated enough to have carried that off, but
yeah.
I
Okay, so
could.
that came your career then?
Mm,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So can I ask then, I mean you eventually got your own home and the kids probably adapted quite well. They had an aunt now that they didn't have before. Um, but I have to get back to the book though. So where like what happened between that and writing the book? Like, I mean, you were
Well, my
uh,
career was basically writing. So
okay,
writing is a
okay,
thing that I do easily,
yeah,
and had a lot of craft behind it. I mean, I've been writing since I was, I don't know, professionally, since I was 19 or 20, um, and in different ways. So I had very solid grounding about that. But the subject matter just came from so many people saying to me, "How do you do this? How in the world do you do this? You're diabetic, and you have all these kids and dogs and stuff,
mhm,
and you have a nice home, and yet you still manage to sit down and eat a meal, and it's good food."
mhm,
Because I did all my social life at my table. Because I had to,
mhm,
that was what I had. And the kids also, I think, benefited from that, because they grew up meeting my friends, my professional friends, which was the only kind I had, really, because that was all, I worked all the time. Um, and so I knew how to throw a meal on the table fast,
mhm.
cheap, and make it healthy.
Yeah. Okay,
That was my superpower, right?
tell us, like, yeah, let's get into that because
Well, and so the book is, particularly, the subtitle is, a cookbook for diabetics and the people who love them, because I've also seen what a struggle it is for people to eat healthy, whether you've got a heart condition, whether you're overweight, trying to lose weight, whatever, when the people around you don't support you fully. And what you wind up with is little Mary Ellen's eating her little thing and then grandpa will eat his thing and so on. And your husband's eating a thing that's, I can't, and your sister comes over and she can't eat any of that stuff. And it gets worse all the time, because now we've got
yes,
gluten-free, or I can't, I'm allergic to, and, nut, and whatever
yeah,
it is,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
a thing.
it is a
So
thing.
it's a thing. So what I was trying to do with this book, and I hope I've been fairly successful, is, and by it's out on Audible now.
Oh,
So I'm very
wonderful.
excited about having it. And I recorded it myself so I could kind of update it a little bit and add some things. And
Well, wouldn't you know, my new Audible credit just came out today. I have a credit to use.
there you go. Perfect. And the idea is that you'll drive along, listen to this, and you'll go, I could do that. That's so easy, and so on. And then you'll get home and you've downloaded the ebook. And so you can have the pictures and the recipes right there. Because the hardback book is too expensive now on Amazon.
Hmm.
Uh, I know. I love people to have the hardback. I
Yeah.
love books. I mean, a lot of us
Yes.
love books. This is the paperback I have out here, and it's less expensive. It's more reasonable.
Can
But
I
you can download it. Mhm.
can I ask you who your publisher was?
Hey.
Oh, good, self-published. Okay, great. Okay, okay.
And the
Yeah.
reason for that, Luella, was because, again, I had a lot of experience doing
Yeah.
this. I wanted to do it my way. And I
Hmm.
knew enough to know that most publishers would have gone, this is this is pretty frank. This is not no, no, no. This is me. This is
Yeah.
how I do stuff.
Yeah.
So, and people I think appreciate the a lot of people have come back to me and said, I love hearing your voice in the
Mm.
book, which,
Yeah.
yeah, that's me saying, straighten up,
Yeah. Yeah.
snap out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
hopefully not shaming anybody,
Yeah.
because the whole idea is, and Michael Pollan says this, not original with me, but it's real food,
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
whole food, mostly plants,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, and
Yeah.
and I'll add to that and enjoy, make it
Yeah.
beautiful. And I want everyone who, especially who has a family around them, to think about eating at the table with other people.
Oh my
Too
gosh.
many of us are driving around eating out of a bag. You've got your little Frappahucci coffee thing next to you.
Yeah.
This. The
Yeah.
dentists are saying they've got the worst numbers ever for affluent people losing their teeth
Mhm.
because they're holding their coffee drink, which isn't really a coffee drink at all. It's milk and sugar,
Yeah.
and is sugar too.
Yeah. It's
So you've
it's it's
got
liquid
that.
ice cream.
It's liquid ice cream, and it is rotting your teeth and
Hmm.
gums out.
Hmm.
So, and of course, your kids. And another
Yeah.
statistic that totally shocked me was that 60% of the calories being consumed in this country are from soda pop.
Oh, and no wonder 60% are obese.
It's
Like,
more than
is it more than that? Oh my
it is.
gosh.
And, how do we define obese and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
on?
yeah. Yeah.
But we are a country in trouble for sure, health
Yeah.
wise. And then on top of that, you have all of us, myself included, whining about the cost of healthcare. We don't have a system like Canada does.
Yeah.
Crazy cost, trying to get booked, trying to find something that's in your, program of insurance so you
Ye-
can get the cost covered and so on.
Yeah.
And then after the illness, after the surgery, whatever, you get the bill, and oh, guess what? They didn't cover 3,700 or $37,000 worth of the stuff, whatever it is. So even though you've been paying your insurance premium and you've been doing all this work to get this stuff, you still owe money,
It must be
a lot of
horrible.
money.
I can't imagine.
No, and because you're Canadian and you're nice,
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
can't go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can you be this stupid as a
Yeah.
country?
Yeah.
Um, and
That that
beyond that,
that's that's a conversation that we'll do off when I press stop record.
yeah, yeah, it's severe.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there is the fact that, and we're talking about older people and menopause and getting
Mm.
older and retiring, 85% of the bankruptcies in this country are health related. Let that sink in.
Oh, really? Wow.
So this book
Yeah.
not only can save your life, but it can save all your money
Hmm.
because it's chronic disease.
Yeah.
that is eating us alive and taking all of our financial resources.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Just think about the anxiety that comes from, like just a bad diet or sugar alone. Like it's such a cycle, when you think of it, like if you don't eat well, you or you eat too late or whatever, you typically do not sleep well. And then, you might not even have a bowel movement the morning. And then, so now, like, you're kind of miserable because you feel constipated. And you also, like, I don't know about you, but I know right away when my sleep's not good, like I'm craving that dopamine hit. And everybody thinks like it's actually dopamine you're looking for, but everybody thinks it's energy. So they're going for something sweet and quick. And the cycle just continues. I mean, it's just,
Luella, I'm a recreational sleeper.
okay, okay, tell me more.
I love to sleep.
Okay.
And sleeping is a real ritual for me. And I'm thrilled to now read all of the science about how it's that sleep that will keep you healthy.
Keep you
You know,
healthy, keep you slim, keep you
yes.
smart. Yeah.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me, you sleep well? Because I know that's one of the biggest
Darling,
complaints
I
I
sleep,
hear.
I sleep beautifully. Yes, I do.
Wow. Okay, tell us
And
about your sleep regime, please.
I'm happy to do it because I wish I'd known this earlier in my life. I mean, there are those times when you're the mother of many and so on, and so
Yeah.
sleep isn't a thing you can particularly do.
No.
Although my kids knew that at 8 o'clock at night, there was no negotiating with her. We're done. And I would say to them, I don't care if you stay up all night. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I have to work. I have to
Yeah.
get up in the morning. I'm
Yeah.
going to bed. So
Yeah.
night night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And parents today would be terribly shocked by that because parents are so much more on it, as
Helicopter. Yeah.
helicoptering, they're crazy, but on it. And my kids still tease me about it. It's like, we don't call her after 7 o'clock at night. Forget about it.
Yeah.
She didn't want to talk to us. She's done. That's right. My sleep is sacrosanct to me. And the hours before sleep are sacrosanct. I like quiet and peace. I don't watch bloody, stupid, horror, terrible stuff on TV.
No.
If I watch something on TV, it's going to be something like, here's one for you, everybody. Netflix Dance Life. Fabulous. Such a
Oh,
beautiful documentary about a school in Australia that teaches contemporary dance to those kids. Everybody knows a kid like this who were born to dance. And the dancing is fabulous to watch. I mean, it's like nothing you've ever seen. But watching these kids grow and develop, and it's a wonderfully done documentary. Okay, I'm going off here. But the point is, I like to go to sleep with that in
yeah.
my
Yeah.
something wonderful and positive in my head. If I read, it's a quiet thing. It's not a bloody, anguished, terrible thing. I sleep in a beautiful bed. I have a fabulous mattress that I bought deeply discounted,
Hmm.
but it's a
Hmm.
great mattress.
Hmm.
And I love the ritual of having, and I make my bed every morning
Yes.
because guess what? The queen is going to get into it at night. So
Can I ask
it,
if you leave your window open like for fresh air, like it's or there's a fan or any.
I live in my house is about 160 years old. So there's no way that the windows really close.
Okay, 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 there you go.
It automatically,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a little cooler. No, I sleep in a very cool bedroom, very cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
even, and I live in a place where you can keep things open.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it's
all,
yeah, so
which
wonderful.
that's a real privilege, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, cold room, all the things, cold room, um, clean, well-made bed,
Yeah.
good pillows, good covers. I believe in heavy covers.
Yes.
Heavy covers really are wonderful for deep sleep.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you take
what
any sort
else?
of like herbal like sleepy time tea or any of those like ashwagandha or uh
Sleepy time in my kitchen, but When 8 o'clock rolls around, I don't care anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm done. I'm
Okay.
sleeping. And I
So,
have a good looking husband who's in the same bed. So
okay. Okay. Who doesn't snore?
no, he can thrash a bit,
Okay.
but he
Okay.
doesn't snore. Thank
Okay.
goodness.
It's a blessing.
It would have been a shame to put him in another room. Yeah.
Okay. How many hours do you like, are you one of these people that always napped, or you need your 8 or 9 hours, or
I love to nap.
okay.
I'm a reluctant napper. People pick at me, certain people in my family, and say I should nap more, but I'm a believer, and you
Yep.
can an hour. In my case, if I had a thing at 4 o'clock or 5 in the afternoon, I would try and make sure that I had an hour's sleep
Mm,
in preparation for that
right.
thing, so that I was really on top of my game. But typically, I am in bed at the latest 8:30, maybe 9. I mean, done
Yep.
with everything.
Yeah.
The dog is sleeping, everything is wound up, the lights are out,
Yeah.
everything. And I am awake. And it's a circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
Awake when the first light comes and the
Wow.
first word comes. And that's if you allow yourself to be with that, or if you have a life that allows you to be with that, and believe me, my life for many years didn't.
No.
um, what I would have to, you're reminding me, I would put the kids to bed at 8. I would sleep. I would get up at 2 and work until 7, um,
Yeah,
until
I was
they
gonna
were there.
say, like you would
Yeah.
have to, okay, so I mean in the summer when the sun rises at 4:30 or something, like so you're up then, or no?
Necessarily get up. I'm awake.
You're awake,
So
yeah.
I wander a little bit. I might,
Yeah.
make some coffee, whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, but if the sun is up and the birds are talking,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm awake. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, so what was I gonna ask you about? Okay. So you have no thoughts that keep you awake then, because I like my mother is 84 and my mother-in-law's I think 78, and they both talk about waking up at the that 2 or 3 a.m. sort of thing, and then they start thinking and then it's game over. You've never had
I
that?
have, I sometimes will wake up at that time. I've read about two sleep, as I'm sure you have,
Mhm.
which is a belief that a lot of people have, that historically people are designed to wake up at different times, sleep at different times,
Yeah.
and to be awake in the middle of the night. And whenever that happens to me, I just think, oh, this is my grandma time. I'm now awake. The rest of the tribe is asleep.
Mhm.
I can be awake and just kind of check in with everything. And I do.
Mhm.
Everything okay? Yeah, everything's okay. And then I go back to sleep.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I think, you and I probably share, because we're sort of in this space, this medical space.
Mhm.
I know what thoughts can do.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know that I'm in charge,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I can change my thoughts and
Yeah.
manipulate my thoughts.
Yeah.
Um,
But
and
I have
I'm
to
happy
ask,
to do that at times.
I'm so glad to hear you say that, Lynn. But like I was speaking to another client about this the other day, that like I feel so fortunate that, well, I mean, the work that I do, I don't have to search for this kind of information because I studied it. But then it's also very accessible everywhere, right? Like we hear enough about it. I mean, in terms of mindfulness and our thoughts become our reality, etc. But like for someone with my mom's generation, like who, I mean, like you said, in terms of, I mean, everything is very private. I mean, she never had, um, that awareness of like, okay, what is the anxiety? What does that look like? And so I feel like trying to educate her now about that, but it just seems like so foreign. And I feel bad for that generation, in that respect.
That's me you're talking about. That's my
Well,
generation.
okay.
I'm your mother-in-law's age, and maybe we need to do a thing about this,
Mm,
specifically for older women, uh,
right.
because and it's a conversation that I have fun
Mhm.
with younger. It's so wonderful, first of all, to have 20-year-old friends. Recommend it highly.
Mhm.
Um, and 40-year-old friends, and because our generations have experienced things so differently, and we have very different issues that we're dealing with, and but we can still talk. Love that. And of course, my generation and your mothers and your mother-in-laws, we did not talk about anything.
Yeah.
When my mother died, no one said, Lynn, come on over and have some tea with me and let's talk about what this means in your life.
Yeah.
I was 35 before I ever processed it in any way at all. And that was a little weekend workshop thing that I went to. And the guy running the workshop realized that I was still pissed at my mother, which I was,
Hmm.
for leaving me. But we didn't talk about any of that. And still, my younger girlfriends are so free and open about all these things and their worries and their cares and so on. And I find it just, what? I don't have worries. I don't have cares. Not me. you know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's my go-to, of course, because that's how we were brought up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was a
Yeah.
different world.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know I've been thinking about this a lot, how do I how yeah, I mean, to normalize speaking about your feelings, I think that's what you're talking about. Just to normalize that. Like right now, so therapy has been suggested for, my mom and she's not there, right? Like I think she's I don't know. I think us as a family, we have to just keep on talking to her about it, like her daughters and sons, and just normalize and empathize and encourage her to keep on talking and talking and talking. And yeah. So anyway,
There are probably a couple of books that
yeah,
would help.
yeah,
I
that's
know that in my world, that's kind of how I received information in a friendly, acceptable way.
yeah,
Uh, and that can really
you're
turn
right.
things around for some people.
You're right. I'm gonna think about that a little bit more. I have to make sure it's the right book for her. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You and I can talk offline about
Exactly. Oh,
and you'll laugh at my experience with therapy, because you already know I'm cheap. I'm all about cheap food and so on. And when I was
it's not
at my
cheap. It's I think it's
well,
wonderful. It's
thrifty, right?
yes, but
Yeah.
it's conservative. Like, I mean, why waste? Like, in that way
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I was at my worst with my ex-husband trying to figure everything out, I saved up my money, and as I recall, it was $75. So I could go talk to a therapist
Mm.
for an hour. And I managed that, and I went, and 15 minutes in, what he said was, "And you're not going to leave your husband? Don't you think you should leave your husband?" I went, "Yeah, guess so. Okay, thanks."
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. It's almost like we
Done.
need, yeah, yeah, yeah. We need that permission from a
That's
professional.
$75 I probably spent.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, and that's what therapy is so much about is like, I have these thoughts over and over and over in my head. I need to talk to somebody and find out, is this the truth? Is this right? Is this normal? And you're right. It's the best money you can spend because now you don't have to be in that thought loop anymore.
Because now everybody's going to therapy.
Yeah,
I'm the one I think who doesn't have a regular therapy appointment.
yeah,
Not that I don't think it's wonderful. I do. Um, but um, when it comes to your mom and your mother-in-law, I would also want to be sure that, first of all, even one cocktail will knock your sleep all to hell.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, neither one of them are. No, 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 no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's a thing that I think a lot of people are not totally honest about.
Right,
Um,
right. Yeah.
and I'm a woman who has enjoyed an
Hmm.
adult beverage from
Yes.
time to time, but I know that I pay an enormous price for it now that I didn't used to.
Yeah.
I mean, literally one, and I just can kiss my regular sleep goodbye, and I can kiss the next day's brilliant productivity, whatever it is I'm going to do. Oh, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm I'm not on top of my game. One drink.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's that. The other thing is TV watching,
Hmm.
uh, and even radio listening.
Hmm.
Anytime you have voices, you have what your brain conceives of as real people saying scary things or doing scary things, that stays in there.
Yes.
And it will be rattling around in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So if I were going to do sleep therapy on someone, that would be absolutely no alcohol and nothing. I would try and get someone to stop watching TV completely,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree.
Talk about addictions, though.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We didn't speak on exercise. I have a feeling you're somebody that, yeah,
Want to
exactly.
see my guns?
Yeah, yeah. Not surprised there. So what's your exercise regime?
Well, I have such a wonderful one because fortunately I live out in the country, little
Yeah.
bitty town, 500 people, 4 miles from me. But I have a fantastic trainer, Tiago is his name, and I have lovely girlfriends who go to the same. And so I'm going 4 days a week. This morning was weight training. So the fact that I'm sitting up and talking to you is a miracle because he's a killer with the weight training.
Wow.
But what you know, and I know too, is that for elderly people such as myself and your mother-in-law, weight training is maybe the most important physical thing that we do. Trying to keep your muscles strong
Yeah.
so that you can get down and get up, so that your balance is good, so that your metabolic health is good. So running is great and dancing is great. All these other things are good.
Mm.
But weight training, the
Yeah.
science tells us, is the most important.
Yeah.
So I've begun that. That's my Tuesdays, and I've become that. Started that fairly recently, but I do a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday routine, 9:30 every morning. Which again, privilege because I'm not working a job every day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but to me and my family, the little sweeties all say, yes, that's right, Mimi. My job is staying alive.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
my job is staying out of the hospital, staying out of the rehab.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
best way I know how to do that is to keep my body fit.
Yeah.
And and yes, food, big part of it. That's huge. Got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep, hmm absolutely essential. But I need to get my rear end down to the studio and work out. So we do a circuit training 2 days a week. We do mobility 1 day a week, which is, as it sounds, a lot of stretching, some weight, some strength training too. And
Yeah.
then this morning, weight training, which is really hard, but I'm doing it.
Good for you. Okay. I'm seeing like time coming up. How about, can you share like a couple of, I mean, maybe I should ask you to share your brownie recipe that you can have for breakfast, but like,
I want to
or
talk to them. Yeah. Because
yeah.
it's so, I'm not going to tell you amounts because that's in the book
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah. Yeah.
downloaded. But what makes it wonderful is that the ingredients are, and first let's talk about sweeteners,
Mm,
sugar replacements. because there's been so much controversy around this. Is aspartame cancer causing, and stevia and this or that. Here is the latest word, everybody. You
Okay.
ready? This is the
Okay.
latest word, and it's not something that just happened. Allulose. It's a rare sugar. It has a terrible name. It's a brilliant sugar replacement that looks like sugar, tastes like sugar, doesn't leave an aftertaste, doesn't have calories, doesn't give you a stomach thing, nothing. Allulose. And then in addition to that, you can also use monk fruit, which is brilliant,
Yeah.
and chicory root, which is brilliant. But the
Mm.
one that's easiest for you to buy is allulose. I
Okay.
particularly like one that might be golden, might have a little brown sugar
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
So
Well, I,
my
I, I,
brownies,
I've heard of it. I've heard of it, but I just can't think of seeing it in a health food store. But I'll inquire.
buy
Okay.
it online. I buy it at Trader Joe's,
Mm.
but I buy because I'm out in the country, I buy a lot from Thrive Market online.
Yep. Yep.
Uh, mhm. They've
Okay.
been great, and I buy it on Amazon.
Okay.
And Whole Foods is twice the price, but if that's what you have,
Well, we
you can get
we no, I think there's one, there might be two Whole Foods in all of Canada, and I'm not in a city that has one, and we don't have Trader Joe's, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll check Amazon and
you can get it online,
yeah, yeah.
easy.
Okay.
Uh, and so that's key. You need
Okay.
a good sugar replacement, allulose. Um, Here's another surprise: pumpkin, canned pumpkin.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that the next ingredient, nut butter, and the canned pumpkin together act like fat and flour.
Mm.
And yet you're eating a vegetable and nuts. So,
Mm.
and then you use cocoa, plain cocoa, no sugar, just
Yeah.
and chocolate is great for you.
Yeah.
And then you can use eggs or an egg replacement,
Mm-hmm.
protein, great food, all good.
Yeah.
You can add nuts to it if you want to, but so it's allulose, pumpkin out of a can, cocoa
Mm-hmm.
out of the box, and nut butter, and you can use cashew butter, almond butter, and then you can throw walnuts in it if you
Yeah.
want. And it goes in one bowl, stir it up, put it in the thing. Oh my God, moist, wonderful, and it lasts for a week. Except no, it doesn't. You'll eat them,
Yeah.
but you freeze them, and they freeze very well for people who want to take them to school or
Yeah.
work. Or whatever.
Yeah.
And here's a big difference. You're going to eat one, you're going to go, oh my God, that's the best brownie I ever ate. Can I have, yes, you can have another one. And you get halfway through the second one, you go, wow, those are very rich. Yes, they're very rich.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, calories? No, I think they're like 126 calories a piece,
Wow.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't count calories, and I don't
No.
want you counting
No.
calories. I just want you not eating crap. I want you to eat
Exactly.
food.
Yeah.
So brownies, so it's got vegetable, protein, nuts, good healthy fats,
Yeah.
egg, whatever. What's
Yeah.
not so, and they are absolutely, I promise you, delicious, easy to make,
Yeah.
super easy.
Yeah.
And that's an example of
Wonderful.
so there are pies, cakes, all kinds of things, but there are also macaroni and cheese and soups and the real way that real people put real food on the table. Okay. In 15 minutes, in 10 minutes, people screaming, here you
Yeah,
go. It's
exactly.
all good. And I want everybody eating the same thing. Now, if you want to add a different kind of cheese to the top of your soup or whatever, I don't care. But
Yeah.
I'm not making 5 different dinners for 5 different people sitting
Right.
down. I'm not going to go out for takeout for grandpa because he doesn't. No, no, no.
No, no, no. Exactly. And like no one has time for that kind of craziness. I totally agree. But just to know that, oh yeah. Yeah, just to have whole foods, wholesome foods, and like you say, 80, I mean, I love the idea of it being sort of 80% plants. I'm not saying that's what your cookbook is necessarily, but
You can adapt it. There are recipes in here where you can add chicken or fish if you want to,
right?
You can eat vegan from this book just fine. You can eat vegetarian from this book just fine.
Mm,
Or you can eat omnivore just fine,
mm.
but it is plant forward,
Yes.
plant based,
Yeah.
which is what's wrong with the Canadian, the American diets these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of little tricks in here about how to make takeout food healthier, better.
Mm,
Um, yeah, and more beautiful and more fun.
mhm.
And little things, just one more stupid little thing that I love, which is to take Italian parsley, snip the bottoms off, put it in a pretty vase full of water, and keep it on your sink. Because you take those scissors and you just snip off because Italian parsley is pretty, it has these
It
beautiful broad,
is.
it smells so good.
Mm,
And there is more nutrition in that parsley than in almost anything else you're eating.
yeah.
It's an incredibly densely nutritious
Yeah.
thing to eat.
Yeah. Thanks for
And we used to throw it away. It would come packaged with the meat. And you would toss the parsley out and eat the meat.
right.
So
No, thanks for
you
that reminder. Like you're right. Like you're just adding when you add these herbs, whether they're dried or fresh, you're just adding another plant to your meal. And you're right. Like I know from functional medicine, I remember, reviewing that stuff and when they were first talking about it, the nutrients uh like antioxidants and phytochemicals and like in I think it was actually parsley. It was one of the herbs. You're just like, are you kidding me? Like I mean, it's
and
just
it's $2 for a big, beautiful bunch
yeah,
of it that
yeah,
also is decoration in your kitchen. And
yeah,
also you put on your eggs, your meat, your stew, your soup,
yeah,
anything, and it
yeah.
makes it better. And even the kids love it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you make a thing of it and you can grow it in the garden so easy.
Mm-hmm.
But what I want people to do is and I have like 12 things I want you to do. And one of them is to eat leafy greens
Yeah.
2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And of course, most people go, wait, what? How am
Mm-hmm.
I going to do that? Well, I tell you how to do it. You'll go, oh, right. Okay. Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah.
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 I can
Yeah.
I can chop up a little bit of cabbage real fine and put it under my burrito. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah.
It makes it taste better and look better.
And it's all these like it's like it's little tricks, but you do these little tricks every day and it becomes a habit and then you don't even know you're doing anything special anymore.
And
So
it is all of it,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah, all our yeah, you know all our behaviors is just a matter like it's just a thought on repeat, and it's like yeah, it just that's what becomes a habit. Yeah, and in terms of, leafy greens, I think, some like we don't think about it like this. Like we just think, oh, it's good for us. But like leafy greens are very high in folate, which is, one of your B9 vitamins, and it's so important for mood. So like there's a reason for all of this stuff. It's not just that your plate looks pretty. I think that's what we think about a lot of times when we hear eat the rainbow. But
But yes, you can trust your nose and
mm,
your eyes and your tongue to
yes,
lead you in the direction once they have a little bit of guidance from you
yeah,
about that. I mean,
yeah,
parsley, I just stand in the kitchen and sniff it sometimes, and arugula, same
mm,
thing. It's
mm-hmm,
just so, and people laugh at arugula, it's
mm-hmm,
become sort of a California joke or something, but
right,
arugula is one of the most wonderful smelling
yeah,
things in the universe.
yeah, yeah,
And we eat a ton of it, and it's inexpensive, and
mm-hmm,
it's beautiful,
mm-hmm.
and it is so good for you.
So good for
Uh,
you. It's one of the
So good.
cruciferous vegetables fighting cancer.
Yeah, yeah.
So, well,
But you're not being punished when you have to eat that. Uh,
no, no,
it's
no.
delightful.
Yeah. So this has been so fun. I'm so glad I had you on the show, and I think
Too.
You might be one of the older guests that I've had on the show, and I think it's great. Like, I mean, I have clients your age, so why wouldn't I have more
We're all
of
going to be here eventually if we're lucky.
yeah. No, well, exactly. I mean, that's what we're striving for. So I love it. I love the fact that everything you're doing now, it's all about not necessarily even your length of life. It's more like the quality of life that you have. Right? So
Well, there
so
are things that you can do at this age that you couldn't get away with at your age or in your 20s. I mean, I love the idea that I can really say what's on my mind now, and people just go,
yes.
oh, well, you know,
Yeah,
she's a little eccentric.
right.
She's she's a piece of work, that one,
Right. Yeah.
That's right. I
Take
am
it.
a piece of work.
Yeah. Oh my,
Yeah.
it's so funny you say that because I've been told that so many times. Mainly by my family, but yeah, I
Bless
like
their
to
hearts.
yeah,
As
exactly.
we say in the South, bless their hearts.
Yeah. All
That's a
right.
dedication.
Okay. So thank you so much. It's been so fun. And yeah, everyone else will oh, okay. You know where to find her book. And she's on Instagram. She's on all social media. So grab
Website is easy. It's just lynnebowman.com.
exactly. Yeah.
My name
So
is Lynne Bowman.
yes. It's
And I love hearing from people. I do answer
oh,
any I get. So yeah, let me know if you've
that's
got.
so nice. Thanks for being so welcoming like that. You're a treasure trove of wisdom. I can tell. So, all right, everyone, thanks so much, and we'll see you next week. Thanks once again for joining me on another great episode of I Think I Can podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe below so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And until next week, treat each day like it was your last, because each new day is a privilege that we shan't take for granted. Cheers and have a great week. Bye-bye.